Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. I would have loved to start speaking about Juventus Como from Monday, first competitive game, but yesterday and today the players were off and they will be off also today, starting again, resuming everything tomorrow, where we will know a bit more preparing the game. Guys, I tell you, it will be quite easy to have the predicted 11, because it's not that we have so many players. So if we can't speak about the Juve Como game of Monday, what are we speaking about? Well, we speak about Mercato. Why we are in a blocked situation. We'll speak about Kalulu. We'll speak about a lot of things. It's, I believe, an interesting video. That's why it's quite late, because I made a lot of research yesterday night and this morning to answer a question. Are we in panic mode? And I tell you, yes, on the 13th of August, I am in a panic mode. And a lot of Juventini that are watching the channel, they're writing in the channel, they are on panic mode, not on the 13th of August, but probably they started even earlier, and you are correct. And probably the sporting management of Juventus is already in panic mode, not because of the game of Como, but because the Mercato is going closer and closer to the end, and there is so much things to do. But if there is one thing that is not a panic thing, a panic reaction, is the possible, really possible signature of Pierre Kalulu. And I will explain you why in a second. So pay attention, it's a really interesting video. Maximum of like if you didn't, please continue to subscribe to the channel. Grazie to make that community bigger and bigger and bigger. Thank you for all of you that watched the video of yesterday. Thank you for all the comments. And a lot of comments were not that positive towards the signing of Kalulu, and I accept every single comment that is respectful, and especially the ones that are constructive. Guys, to watch the channel, to follow the channel, to subscribe on the channel, you need to understand one thing. I don't believe that much in astrology, let's not exaggerate now, but I think that some things are important. I'm born on the 11th of October, by consequence I am a Libra. One of the characteristics of a Libra, we know it, it's trying to weight the plus and the minus, which I do always in my life. I always did that when I had to change a job, when I had to take a decision. This is who I am in real life. This is who I am, the real Beppe, also in terms of communication on my channel. I'm not a reactionary person here on the channel, except of the games, because that's pure passion. This is my heart. It is not my brain that is working when I'm doing watch-along or right after the watch-alongs. But when I'm doing videos, I'm always being, again, the real Beppe, plus, minus, and that's why my videos don't expect, in the videos, the normal videos, a tranchant opinion. It's like this and nothing else. Because also, I don't believe that I have all the correct answers. What I do is plus, minus, taking my time, trying to have as much as information, and then going with my own opinion. I share it with you, and then it's up to you to make your own opinion. If you agree with Beppe, if not, if I could have helped you to have as much as information as possible. This is important. If you don't accept this way of doing on my channel, ragazzi, then the channel is not made for you. What I also love is speaking about football, constructive talk, informing myself, learning things by curiosity. And I love when you're writing these kind of things, even if you're not agreeing with me. What I don't understand or don't love is when I'm reading comments alla Depeche Mode Hun. They tell me, Beppe, giunto di out, motta out alle green. Maybe, but why? Tell me, explain me, I need to understand. Or other that are telling me yesterday on their video of Kalulu, Beppe, from today, Juve is a big joke in the world. The season is over. Inter will win 100% the Serie A. We are, disgusting word, poor team, have not any money, which is right. They can only buy some rubbish players or buy nothing. Trust me, and that's the beauty. Trust me, I am a Juve expert. Kalulu and Kumper will not come. Motta is unlucky to have joined a rubbish team. Waste of his life. Guys, I accept everything, but if you tell me a comment like that, how can I trust you? What is your expertise? How do you construct that comment? How do you arrive to that point? Explain me, tell me. And this is why instead of going and trusting Faici 4929, I decided this morning to go to people that I really trust. Edo is here. I spoke with Alessandro Costa. I spoke with Milan fans to understand why Kalulu is not a panic mode. Yes, of course, it was not my first choice. I said it yesterday. Calafiori 1, Todibo 2, 3. Probably I had other players in mind that you all were writing. But we go with Kalulu. I need to understand. The first thing I said is, what is in the archive of Beppe's memory about Kalulu? That I loved the player. That I believed he had a really great potential. That it's a player that I think would not have stayed at Milan after 2-3 years, but probably in a top Premier League club or a huge big top 5 clubs. which I was really believing in. Of course, football is crazy, like Federico Chiesa, like Alessandro Del Piero, like a lot of players, Roberto Baggio, etc., etc. These injuries are coming to one player. It is what it is. And then you have a block of the career, which makes me really hesitant about signing Kalulu to Juve. Will he be physically integer? Will we count on him? Will he be there? Will he be the reinforcement that we needed in terms of just being there? Or will he be in J Medical? I have a lot of fears. I'm really worried about that one. Then if you tell me Beppe, but it's actually an option to buy, not an obligation, then we can start speaking, which will not take away the fear that the guy goes injured and that we don't have him. Because, of course, we are not obliged anymore to buy him, but you lose him for a season, and we have nobody else except of Bremer Gatti. That is not ideal, and we saw it during the preseason. And on that one, I totally agree with the fears, and I share your fears, and that's why it was not my first target. But now, I don't understand how people are extremely harsh on he's a bad player, he's not good, because this is not the reality. Ragazzi, the first thing I did was, okay, after Todibo, we go for Kalulu. For what reason? SofaScore, something extremely easy to understand. You can do it yourself. Go type Kalulu, compare two-player Todibo. Of course, don't use season 23-24 because Kalulu never played, but you go with August 2023. What do you see? That the guys, in a really simple thing, attacking, technique, tactic, defending, and creativity, they have the same ratings. Exactly the same rating. I said, wait, because that's really an easy sum up. Let's go a bit more professional. Thank you to Alessandro Crosta. Pierre Kalulu, Jean-Claire Todibo. FB charts. We go. You see, in the first look, season of Kalulu 22-23, the last 365 days of Todibo. They are the same players. It's not Beppe that is saying it. These are the different stats. The difference, big one, huge one here, is that Pierre Kalulu, in terms of non-penalty expected goals, was bigger, while in assist you have Todibo that is much bigger. The rest is more or less aligned, except that Todibo is stronger in aerial duels, where this is one of the weaknesses of Kalulu. He's really not strong in aerial duels. Luckily, we have a Bremer. Luckily, we have a Danilo that is not bad. Luckily, we have a Gatti that is good. But Kalulu is not the best one. So on corner kicks, pay attention to Kalulu. But except of that, you see that we are speaking about the same. You even go more in detail. Pierre Kalulu, tell me, which player have the same characteristic as the player? And go as close as possible to 100% the same. We are not speaking about the level of the player, but similar characteristics. What do we see? Pierre Kalulu, the first one that is coming out, the closest one, 78%, is Nico Schlotterberg. That's the closest in terms of characteristic. Second, Jonathan Grady from Lens. And then you see a third spot and fourth spot twice Todibo. The Todibo from 22 and the Todibo from 23. 76 and 74% similarity. So 3 and 4th position for Jean-Claire Todibo. That is the closest one to Pierre Kalulu. So that's why I'm telling you, he is not a panic mode buy. Just like, oh, Kalulu, it's an opportunity because they bought Pavlovic and they will count on Ciao at Milan. Maybe we have an opportunity there. Let's go for him. He knows Serie A. He will be cheap. No, it's because we went with the characteristic that we were looking for. Then, if we are going an analyze of Kalulu, a bit more individual, a bit more professional than what we did yesterday, what do we see? That the gray beige zone is actually the possession stats, percentages. And what do we see here? That in terms of attempted passes, completed passes, passes in progression, all the touches, etc., is extremely high quotas. For comparing him center back with all the other center backs from Serie A. Attacking, we know it's not one that is doing a lot of assists. It's not the one that you will see a lot of time into the box to do that final third last action. But it's a player that is absolutely not bad comparing to the other center backs of Serie A. Even more professional, more in detail. What do we see? That the percentages that you see, 97, 96, 95, is where the player is compared to all the players of Serie A in percentages. So 97%, it means that he's in the top 3% of the best players regarding that stat. 91% is in the best 9% of the players of that stat. What do we see? That passaggi progressivi, progressing passes, super high, in the top 96%. or at least top there. Total distance with the ball at his feet, 265.9 per 90 minutes. That's 95%, so extremely high. Touches, penetration passes, a lot of beautiful things that I was telling you yesterday. Look, in terms of carrying that ball possession, a bit what we were asking to Gatti, and where we said here, hey, okay, Gatti was receiving the Calafiori task, fantastic, beautiful, but he's a bit clumsy, he has not the same technique. We see that Kalulu has this technique. What else do we see here? Fundamental passes, so the key passes, 79%, so it's quite high. Not at the top, but quite high. Passes in final third, super high. Passes in penalty boxes is high. Crosses in the box is super high. We see progressive passes is something that is extremely important for the game of Thiago Motta is high. What are the movements that we can expect from Kalulu? Where will he play? Can he play on the right side as a right back, or can he play as a center back? Where will he play Beppe? Because he's a right foot player. Well, I tell you, he will play everywhere. And not only from one game to another, but in the same game, because this is something that we need to start understanding in the game of Thiago Motta. There are no roles anymore. It's a football that is, in terms of spaces, where do you go? We saw it with the first pre-season games that are alternating positions. Sometimes you see Cambiaso as a midfielder. Sometimes you see Cabal there. Sometimes you see Danilo that is in the box. Sometimes you see whatever. They are all changing their own position. The same with the midfielders. It's totally crazy what we are seeing here. Well, Kalulu is that perfect player in terms of positioning, because he can do that first movement, as we see here in the image, of going in progression with that ball, where Danilo, we know it, he will form again that three-man defense. That's a movement that we can see from Kalulu. That's a movement that we see from Cambiaso, for example. Not that much for Bremer, because that's one of the things that Bremer is lacking in. On the other side, we can see a bit more complex movements like this one, where Kalulu is already making that movement to the right. The ball goes to Thuram, he's receiving that ball, and Kalulu goes again up to, at a certain moment, taking a decision. Do I go to Thuram, to Douglas Luiz, to Locatelli, or Koopman, or whatever, or I immediately try to go for Dusan Vlahovic, or I go for Weah? You see, these movements are characteristic of a player that, like Milan fans told me, he would be really great in a three-man defense, which Juventus on paper is not playing with. But when we are looking at the games that we analyzed in preseason, a lot of times we are with three in the back, with one of them that is going up. So pay attention. And then one of the big characteristics that we were missing is that velocity. And Kalulu is a fast player that can compensate a bit our slow center defenders. So with all of that being said, I'm not convincing you that Kalulu is a first choice player, that Kalulu is better than Todibo, that Kalulu is better than Calafiori. This is not my intention. I'm not even believing this. What I'm trying to tell you is it is not a panic mode signing, but it's a signing that probably also here there were studies about what players are actually meeting what Thiago Motta is asking. And I believe that I showed you enough of these beautiful stats that are saying, wow, he could potentially work. Then in football, he starts playing with us. He has an injury, it's over. But that's exactly the same discussion for Bremer. That's exactly the same discussion for Dusan Vlahovic, for Kenan Yildiz, for a lot of players, for Paul Pogba. Then, obviously, if you take a player with an injury track record, of course, you're increasing the chance of looking for bad luck. What is the difference between Jallo and Kalulu? Jallo, when he joined Juve, didn't play a single game since more than a year. 1 year and a half. While Kalulu, he played 3 games in the month of May. He played the 5 friendlies of Milan this preseason. So it's a player that is physically, again, a player that is ready to play. And that's a huge difference. Kalulu is at Milan. Still some few doubts. In the afternoon, definitive talks will take place where the player will say yes, definitely, or no to Juventus. With Milan, everything is already there. In terms of salary, in terms of length, everything is already okay with Kalulu. Now, the final yes is missing. What will it be? A loan for 3.5 million euro with a option to buy at 14 with 3 million of bonus. So we are going in a total package of more or less 20 million euro with 10% of the resale. Trofeo Berlusconi will not be called up, Kalulu. So except if he's saying, no, I stay at Milan 100%. Juventus is taking money, in a way, the easy ones. Nikola Sekulov was not a difficult one. 2 million euro, definitive, permanent sale to Sampdoria, and that was an easy one. He's already in Genoa doing the medicals, but then we need to continue. And I don't believe that Nicolosi will be a problem, but other ones will and can be a problem, because you see it here. Sky Sport this morning were showing us the players that are out of the project, how much they impact this season on the financial books of Juve. Federico Chiesa, 23 million if he stays. Arthur, 17.5. Szczesny, 13.6, etc., etc. So it's a lot of money. And that's the first of, I believe, 3 motives why we go for a Kalulu instead of a Calafiori. This is one of the 3 motifs why our Mercato is blocked after a really beautiful start. This is one of the 3 motifs why we are in panic mode right now. Because things could have been totally different. Could have been. Weston McKennie, if he would have accepted Aston Villa, which actually I still don't understand, why not? Opportunity to be trained by Unai Emery. Play Champions League. Play in Premier League. A top team that showed it already last year, and always in international competition are doing quite well, at least Unai Emery. No. For crazy request of money to one club, to exit strategy with Juve. Is it because of Juve? No, but it could have been different, because if he would have gone there, probably Barrenechea would have been sold to another team, and probably even for more, and it's a double cash in. You save on McKennie, you don't lose him, you cash in on McKennie, and you cash in also for Barrenechea. Another one, Szczesny. If he would have accepted Saudi Arabia, probably would have cashed in a bit, but saving a lot in terms of salary. You see it here, 13.6 would have been the cost that we saved, plus a bit of earnings. Federico Chiesa. If he would have accepted in the beginning of the season the club that he wanted, or the club that wanted him, Napoli, Roma, probably today Sule would have been or still at Juve, or we would have cashed in from Chiesa and from Sule without being obliged in a rush to sell Sule. And probably instead of 26 plus bonus going to 30, would have been 30 plus 5 of bonus. Maybe, I don't know, a bit more. What is Juventus to blame for? Because we spoke about the unfortunate coincidences that makes that Juventus is blocked, not because of own will, but third parts, the player. What is Juventus to blame for if we are looking at that list? Rogani. If you extend Rogani, you have 2 choices. 2 choices. Or you keep him in the team, or you sell him. Fast. But at today, at the 13th of August, he's still there for 3.3 million on our books. That's to blame at Juve. If you don't want him, you don't extend him. That's as easy as that. You don't extend him. To blame at Juve. Another thing to blame at Juve is Szczesny. Because if you go for Di Gregorio, which I totally understand, you need to be sure that he's leaving. You need to be 100% sure that he's leaving. And today he is still a Juve player, not even in La Continassa. A third one that I am blaming Juventus Football Club, Todibo. If this is your plan B and you're convinced, but you're feeling, or you close, or you get away. If not, you are to blame. Another one that I'm also blaming is Jallo, in a way. You go for him, you test him, then he's on the Mercato, it's 5 million euro that is impacting. You need to find a solution. If you go for a total revolution, and if you publicly say it, then you need to go for a total revolution, taking into consideration that these situations could happen. So yes, I understand that we are, in a way, in a panic mode. Szczesny is close to maybe saying even goodbye to football. You should have known that this could have been a possibility. Chiesa, you knew that the offers would probably not have been the one that he would love. Am I blaming Juve on Chiesa? No, because if Chiesa comes to Juve and asking 9 million euro, we have a problem. And why should Juventus say yes? Why all the other clubs in the world are saying, oh, you're crazy? Besiktas, we heard, Saudi Arabia, some clubs like Napoli, Roma are saying no. He has also been offered to Milan that is saying no. Even 6 million euro is too much for us. It's out of proportion for a player that we are not 100% sure about. 6 million euro is a lot, because in Italy you are paying 100% more, so it's 12.5 million euro gross that you are paying. It's too much. And we have a problem. And we have a real big problem there, because these players are blocking our Mercato. And then there is the third problem that is blocking everything is the fact that other clubs in Italy, they have always been extremely harsh with Juve. To sell, to discuss, to agree, to ask more money than they are asking for other clubs. We all know that. But this season is crazy. Because it's beautiful to have everything already done for Cope Manners, everything already done for Nico Gonzalez. But if these players, they don't receive the final green line for their clubs, we have a problem. And this is apparently what is happening for Nico Gonzalez with Comiso, that suddenly says no. Yeah, we want to try for Gudmundsson, even if Inter is again on Gudmundsson. We don't want to sell him to Juve. After agreeing with Juve on the formula, after making Juve lose a lot of time, I think it's also a kind of strategy from the opponents to make sure that Juventus is losing time, not going on other players, believing that everything is done, and then it's over. I always told you, don't give a single euro to Italian clubs, because it's always the same story. And year on year on year, when they feel that Juventus could possibly be back, it's harsh and harsh and harsh on Juve. Always. Guys, it's tough. It's tough. So Comiso, will he decide, yes or no? What about Koopman as well? He will watch Real Madrid-Atalanta from television, but there also, we are waiting that Atalanta, after agreeing with you on a lot of things, that they are saying finally yes. And how? Because they need also to go for their replacement. It's a disaster. Guys, seriously, it is a disaster. We are waiting. Am I blaming Juve for that? No. The only thing I'm blaming for Juve is that at a certain moment you need to understand that it's over. Basta with Italian clubs. Go with other clubs. Go with other clubs. Go in Premier League. Go to Chelsea. Go to French Ligue 1. Go to Spain. But stop with Italy. Because it's always the same thing. It's a disaster. So, are there things to blame to Juve? Yes. Is Kalulu a panic signing? No. Can Juventus do better? Absolutely yes. But a lot of things, guys, we need to put into context where we are never helped. We are never helped. Ragazzi, put a maximum of like if you enjoyed it. Please continue to subscribe. Grazie, forza. Juve.